welcome to the latest episode of Inside High School Sports. My name is Alex Brasky alongside Nate Ryder of the Batavia Daily News. Nate, we had a bunch of record-setting performances this week, accompanied by even more big wins than we had last week. I mean, Batavia boys are on a string of consecutive victories here. The OA girls with a big win over Elba. But the big news, Vin Molisani, the new career record holder in terms of points scored for Calmon boys basketball.
Yeah, that's a great accomplishment, for all the long line of talented players that come through that system. And, I played against the kid who owned it before, Tim Keeley, I believe it was.
Yep.
And he graduated either the year I did or the year after me. And,
You're dating yourself there, Nate.
That's all right. He was a very talented player, but, Molisani's been doing it for years. And, and Coach Dan Dickens always says that this kid's one of the best, if not the best, that he's ever coached. And, good for him to set that record and to do it at home as well.
Yeah, he's a great player, a great kid, and a great leader for that Calmon program. And I was there on the scene when Molisani made the record-setting basket, spoke with Vin, but also Coach Dickens about what Molisani's meant to the Calmon program and what Molisani will miss most next year when he doesn't have Calmon basketball.
Vin Molisani, the new all-time leading scorer in program history. Vin, what does that accomplishment mean to you? Calmon, a successful program, a lot of great players over the years. What does it mean to you to have that all-time record now?
First and foremost, I would like to thank all my past coaches, especially Coach Dickens for taking me in 8th grade, Josh Shelton, Steve Gaffney, KP, and Tommy Stein, and thank all my past players. But it makes me proud. I really wanted to leave a stamp on Calmon basketball. I think this is just as much as an accomplishment for the teammates the last 5 years as it is for me. I'm just ready to go on to sectionals now.
Well, I've been here 19 years now as the varsity coach, and maybe besides Shelton, Vinny's spent as much time in this gym as any of them. He was a manager for me for 5 years, starting in 3rd grade, and then as an 8th grader, I knew he could play against bigger, older kids because he always did it at my camp and handled himself well. And it's just one of those things. He knows how to play the game. I mean, good things have happened to him, but great things have happened for our team too. And it's just been great to lean on him for you know what you're getting.
Some of your ex-teammates were here to watch you break that record. How much does that mean to you to have some of them come back and see you earn this great accomplishment?
I really love those guys. We stay in touch. I probably talk to most of them at least once a week, maybe once a month. It makes me feel good that they come and support me still.
I think it speaks volumes of the teammate that he is, first off, to have all these kids that have played with him over the last 5 years come back for such a special night for him. I mean, he's very humble. You see the way he plays. It's not about him. It's a team thing. The guys were pumped for him. He's done a great job of being a leader for us. He's really been a leader for us the last 3 years.
It's going to be a little weird. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life after, but I'll definitely for sure come back and support all the players, especially keep in touch with Coach Dickens, to see how it goes.
We have a very good JV team, and there's some guys that would be playing varsity for a lot of schools in Section 5 and doing well, and I hope they see how he handles himself every night out there, and you just hope it wears off on him because the program's not going to end with Vin. We're going to be missing a huge part of it, but I think he's left his mark not only on the court but off the court as well, and that's one of the things that I really respect the most about Vin.
All right, Nate, and yet another record-setting performance. Maybe not a record-setting, but definitely a great milestone achieved by this young man. Colton Dylan, senior from Elba, scored his 1,000th career point in the Lancers' 7th straight victory over Oakfield, Alabama, two rival schools that Elba's really dominated that rivalry in the past couple of years. But the big news, obviously, Colton Dylan, the newest member of the 1,000-point club.
Yeah, Dylan, the thing you got to remember with him is he was brought up, I believe, as a freshman, but he didn't do a heck of a lot on that team. So he's done this in basically 2.5 years.
Yep.
And that's with, playing with John Boyce and some other talented scorers. So, he hasn't been the main focus of the team really until this year. So for him to get that done is impressive. And like I've said about Dylan, is he didn't rest on anything he had done. He continued to get better. He got bigger. He got stronger. And, he's playing his best basketball this year.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And just like Calmum and Molisani, Elba and Dylan are definitely in search of a sectional title this year. And I was on the scene yet again at that game of Colton Dylan's 1,000-point game and spoke with Dylan as well as head coach Chachi Zambito just about just what Nate talked about. Colton Dylan starting as a freshman, not necessarily a huge contributor to where he is today. It's been quite a journey for Colton Dylan and Elba Boys basketball.
Definitely different than Molisani, too. Molisani came up and contributed right away, started as a point guard. Dylan was kind of an off player. So.
Yeah, there's no doubt the contrast between the two. But nonetheless, two great players in our region. And here's what Colton Dylan and Coach Zambito had to say after his 1,000-point game.
Colton Dylan joins the 1,000-point club. Colton, when you started playing, did you ever think you'd reach this milestone?
I remember getting pulled up my freshman year, just put in my key minutes, scoring a few points here and there. But I think I'm just excited. This is cool.
He's a pillar of our program, and the thing that I like about Colton more than anything is that he's a great role model and a great leader for our younger guys, and they see how hard he's worked. Obviously, he's super gifted and he's super talented, but his work ethic and his leadership qualities are second to none. I'm just so proud of him. It couldn't have happened to a better kid. Our guys see how unselfish he is, and he could probably score more if we asked him to do it. But he, like you said, he sprays the ball around his teammates. It's a complete team. We go 9 deep regularly on a nightly basis, and that's one of our main things that's been successful so far this year. So, like I said, he could probably score a lot more if we asked him to, but it's a total team effort for sure.
You got one behind you.
Now, I'm sure you came into this game wanting to get to that 1,000, but I'm sure you wanted to win as well, and you had to make a couple free throws down the stretch. How exciting was it to record that 1,000 point in such a great atmosphere like it was tonight?
It's such a great atmosphere. I mean, we're around this school so much. It's just a good win. I'm obviously gonna miss it, but I guess I just have to move on. It's gonna be tough, but I'm gonna miss these moments for sure.
All right, maybe not a record-setting performance, but another great performance from another top player in the Glow region, Zach Gilbarto, in the Batavia boys' most recent win over Pittsford Mendon. Now, as we're speaking about this, they're playing right now against Eastridge. Or you're watching this, it'll be just an hour before, and that's another big game for the Blue Devils. But, boy, they've had an incredible start to the season behind Gilbarto.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, and you can tell your father this. I went to that game not knowing what to expect from Batavia and kind of expecting them to lose to a talented Mendon team. And, Gilbarto is definitely the difference maker on that team. He makes that team 10 times better. They're a good team without him. They're a great team with him, and they showed it the other night. They completely shut down Mendon the whole game, and, when they needed a bucket, they gave the ball to that kid, and I don't think he had a single turnover. He makes shots, he plays defense, and, he really is the machine or the cog that makes that machine go.
Yeah, and it's no surprise you didn't know what to expect from them because that's been a team that has been missing pieces kind of throughout the year, especially Gilbarto. He missed a game earlier this season with, I believe, a head injury, and then he exited their most recent loss to CSAT with a lower leg injury. So he hasn't been in the lineup as consistently as Batavia would have liked, but, boy, that hasn't stopped them from reeling off quite a stretch.
No, I think they're 8-2 now, and, definitely I think the team to beat in that class. And they've done it differently. When we talked about this, it's not the same Batavia team you'll see. It's, it's a full complement of players, probably 1 through 8, maybe even 1 through 9. And, they get after it, and they both said that, Gilbarto and Coach Bransky both said they kind of went back to the drawing board with defense a little bit this week, and it really showed.
Yeah, and there's no doubt. And Nate was actually on the scene of that win over Mendon. Huge win for Batavia, like Nate said, kind of in blowout fashion. But here's what Gilberto and Coach Brasky had to say about that big victory.
Coach, I know this team preaches defense and this program preaches defense, but to hold a team like that to what you did tonight, how are they able to do it?
Look at that's a very good team, Class A team, that scores a lot of points. And we just committed this week, Monday and Tuesday in practice, to the defensive end. You know, we haven't been as good as we want to be the last couple of games defensively, and we recommitted. And we had 2 great practices defensively, and it came out today during the game. We always talk about the first 5 minutes of the second half are probably the most important minutes of the game. And we try to constantly come out of the locker room with that mindset. And if we can have a good third quarter defensively, a lot of times that springboards us into the win.
Having this full team together, no injuries, is this the capability of this team, especially with this guy standing to your left?
Zach missed the last game. He just got back. Is it the last game he missed? Yeah, last game. Yeah. And I mean, he just played against the top, who many think the top point guard in Section 5, Shatters. Mm-hmm. And this guy got the best of him today.
First, I think I'm an underrated player. I think I'm better than him. Not like no disrespect, but I think I got the best of him tonight. But I think I just deserve more respect. And
to get back out there and have the game you did tonight, how were you able to get right back into it?
Just hard work every day in practice and after practice, before practice. Just able to get my shot ready and just feel the game.
He's under the radar. He's under the radar, but he deserves everything he gets. He says before practice, after practice, in the morning before school, he's not lying. We get done with practice at 7:30, he stays till 9. So he deserves what he gets, and I'm proud of him.
Zach, after this win, what's the capability of this team? What's the ceiling for you guys?
I think we can become sectional champs. We just keep playing hard, practicing hard. This week was a very good week in practice, so I think if we keep it up, we'll be pretty good.
All right, speaking of big wins over talented competition, Nate, the OA girls with a huge win over state number 1 in Class D, Elba. Not only state number 1, but a huge rival, like we said earlier with the boys, Oakfield and Elba. They combine in several different sports, both boys and girls. So that must have been an exciting win, and you were there for that win for the Hornets over the Lancers.
Yeah, they completely took Elba out of what they like to do, and Tom Redband will be the first to admit Elba did not play well that game, but that's part of what Oakfield did. And Elba was up, I believe, 8 at halftime, so it looked okay, and Oakfield just dominated the second half. And I talked with Coach Redband, and he kind of said, well, they're young, and speaking of Oakfield, they're young, and he knew they were gonna come out and play aggressive, and he said they were bound to lose one at some point, so might as well be now. But give it to Coach Slaganoff and his team. They're really starting to play well, even though they lost Thursday night at the Shooting for a Cure against Pembroke.
Yep.
But it was a close game, and they very easily could have won that one too. Mm-hmm. So he's got that team playing well.
Yeah, Coach Slaganoff has been around quite some time. Picked up his picked up his second sectional title last season, first since 1995, and they really could be in line for another one. They may have to pull some upsets down the stretch, but the Hornets are definitely a sectional title contender this year. And we spoke with Coach Slaganoff, well, Nate did, Coach Slaganoff and Brianna Smith following the Hornets' big win over the Lancers.
Well, number 1 team in the state in Class D, and it's taken us a little bit of time to adjust with our young kids, with Danica Porter getting hurt right before the start of the season, our point guard and shooter for us. But these kids, they come to work every day. They believe in themselves. They battled, and I was telling somebody last week, I said we're getting close. And the biggest thing is they don't play with any fear. So coming to this environment, which is probably the toughest around. We talked at halftime, just keep playing your game, and we hit some shots early in the third and got it tight, and and Elba hasn't played in a lot of tight games. So we made some big shots and we got contributions. And this kid's been around for a long time and really stepped up to the plate tonight for us when we needed her.
I was going to mention, only the lone senior playing here, and how important is it to have her with all these young kids coming up, and how important has she been to this team?
She's a great leader. She's learned, as an 8th grader coming up to the varsity. She had some kids that she learned from 3-4 years ago, and she knew there's a lot on her this year for sure with the team and the age of our kids. But she's accepted that. She knows she's going to get beat up most nights from other teams and trying to shut her down, and she just stepped up great tonight, and she's been a great role model for these younger kids.
Coach really preaches our defense, especially we switched to a 3-2, which really helped close out on shooters, and with our young ones being really, really fast, it was just really easy for them to close out. It's definitely different, but they are stepping up to the plate as much as they can, and they're filling in the roles very well, and I'm really excited to keep going on the season. We definitely play better when we start making our shots when they go in, but when we slow it down, do our plays, it usually works out. But again, our defense turns into our offense, so when we get a good stop, we get a good shot on offense, and we're able to make them.
It's huge moving forward. We talk about, and I've been telling these kids, consistency. We lost a tough one down the stretch at York in the finals of the tournament where we had the lead. We're up 5 with 2 to go, and we turned it over a little bit. We learned. Lost to a good Pembroke team and a good Bergen team, and a Wilson team. So our losses, have been pretty good teams. But a win like this against the quality and Tom does such a great job with his kids. They're so well coached. They're really good players. They play a ton of ball. We're not going to see a tougher team the rest of the ways. So just a confidence boost knowing that these kids can do it.
All right, Nate, another great girls team in the area, this time from Livingston County, the Dansville Lady Mustangs, sectional title. The defending sectional title winners are the Lady Mustangs, and neither of us had a chance to drive out there. I will be going to see them against Hornell tonight. Should be a great game. Game will be broadcast live on the Daily News Facebook. You won't see this until the game's over, so make sure you watch the replay. But our colleague Chris Metcalf had a chance to stop out and speak with the Lady Mustangs, and this is another strong team in the region. And how great has girls basketball been in this Glow region, honestly, the past 2-3 years?
Yeah, we talked about it last week with the GR, and we could say the same thing about Livingston Conference, and up and down there's teams that are just looking to win a sectional title.
Yep.
And like you said, Dansville got it done last year. I believe that was their first ever sectional title, and they're returning basically their whole team this year. With Grace Rittenhouse and Ariana Young and that whole group of girls, and they're young, they're talented, they're, probably one of the best girls teams around, and I think they got moved up a class this year from B2 to, I believe,
now in
B1.
B1 with Batavia, Hornell, I believe.
Might be a little more difficult, but, they're still the team to beat, and, like we said last week, they make everybody they play better, too.
And we didn't have the chance to speak with those ladies, but hopefully I will tonight following the Hornell game. But here's Chris Metcalf's conversation with the Lady Mustangs.
One of the things I always like about it is good team chemistry. Ray, have you ever been on a team that has such good team chemistry? You guys have tremendous team chemistry.
I think we just started all because we played together since we were younger, so I think we know each other like the back of our own hand, even if we don't want to. So yeah. We got good team chemistry.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it helps when we talk and come together. Outside of practice, we're all pretty close, so that helps a lot.
Well, I've never had a team like this, and winning sectionals last year was pretty amazing, and most of the girls are still here, and so we think it's going to be a tough team. I'm pretty close with these guys.
So Ray, obviously you're drawing a lot of attention this year in the post. Very impressed with how you've been playing this year. Ray, just talk about, how your game's been really kind of excelling this year.
I think I play well when I don't really stress over it, but I think it just comes naturally when we all connect as a team. I've been trying to work on my left hand more. I mainly focus on my post moves, but if I can work on my layups, I do.
So right here, Hannah, one of our top players last year, guys are off to a great start, playing a lot of tough teams. Moving forward, you got some tough games ahead. You got Livonia coming up twice. How exciting is that to put this kind of schedule together for you guys?
It's pretty exciting. I love playing teams that we have, it's challenging for us, but it's neck and neck, so it's pretty fun.
Well, it's fun because it pushes us to the limits, and it shows our actual abilities when they come out, and we just show the best we got.
I think we can peak better, but I don't think we're at our best ability, so I think when sectionals come around, we'll be pretty good.
hoping things really peak here coming in the second half. We've had pretty good games so far. We've started to pick up the intensity of the type of teams that we're playing, a little bit harder schools, harder teams. Hopefully we'll take what we've learned in those games and transfer them on to the upcoming league games that we have here in the next couple months.
Tough sectional bracket. B1 is loaded with you guys right there. How does that's you guys? How do you guys stand up for that bracket? You guys are going to be right there, right?
I hope to be right there, yes. But I definitely think that there's so many competitive teams that on any given night, anyone could come out and upset someone or go with a win and go right through and right to the finals.
That's the beauty of the postseason, Grace. You got to be excited. Senior year, you want this thing to keep going, huh?
Yeah.
You still got good 6 weeks left of the season. What's the key right now to your team? Just kind of staying healthy and.
Yeah, and we just got to pick up our defense and just put the pressure on things and. Hopefully we'll be good.
All right, kind of an interesting story, Nate, before we move on to a different sport. There was 3 Kuzmanos on the court for Oakfield, Alabama versus Attica. Now, having brothers who we grew up playing sports together, these are cousins. 2 of them are twin brothers for Oakfield, Caden and Cam, and Drew for Attica. They're cousins, not brothers, but it's got to be great getting out there with your family on such a competitive level as GR boys basketball. The rivalry that Attica and Oakfield has developed over the years, it's just got to be a lot of fun for those guys.
You do see it a lot around here with 2. You see a couple of brothers or a couple of cousins. You really don't see it that often with 3 of them. And it's got to be interesting, knowing that family and knowing Rob and Jeff from Attica and and how close-knit that family is. All the, obviously the twins grew up, but, they grew up with the cousin, too, and they played with each other and against each other, and now they're doing it at the high school level, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, and we spoke with Drew, Caden, and Cam, and they said just that. I mean, they've been growing up over the years playing against each other, family parties here and there, and it's great to see them on the varsity court finally.
Oh, it's fun. It's always competitive. We get after it. It's fun playing each other because we always play each other around, like when we're at family parties and stuff, so it's nice to play on the court.
We always been playing one-on-one, challenging each other, and just trying to get better together. And we're all top players on our team, and we're all here to win together and have fun.
Yeah, it's always nice to win against family, just making family memories and becoming better as time goes on.
Your families have been ingrained into sports over the years. How much does it mean to them to come here and see all 3 of you play together?
Well, it means a lot. Growing up, they always say they're going to wait for the time we all play each other on varsity, and here it is.
All right, last but not least, Nate, easy for me to say, the Batavia Attica wrestling team. Back-to-back sectional champions a couple years ago. Last year were moved up to Class A, and once again they're in Class A this year, but they have defending sectional champ Casper Stewart coming back. They have Josh Barber, a previous sectional champion, trying to work his way to the mountaintop once again. He actually just came back off injury that he suffered in football this week. But this is an exciting group, a talented group, and I think they could be in contention for a title this year.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, obviously, to get moved up or staying up in Class A. There's a lot of good Class A wrestling teams, but with the combination of what were 2 good wrestling programs on their own, to combine them a few years ago gives them a full, pretty much full roster of a team every night they go out. And you mentioned Stewart, and good to see Barber coming back off of the broken leg, and we'll see what he can do in the next couple of weeks. And they got some other talented wrestlers there, and between Coach Stewart and Coach Bannister, I believe, is still doing it. And they got 2 solid coaches, and they built a true program there combining, and it's really worked out well for them.
And Coach Stewart is actually deployed right now as military services, so thank you to him for his service. But Coach Bannister is sticking around, trying to help lead this team to what they hope is a sectional title run. And we stopped by and we spoke with a couple members of the team, including Stewart and Barber, about what to expect from them and their teammates coming up down the stretch. Batavia Attica wrestling, big win over Leroy tonight. A lot of success in this program over the years. Sean, what's it been like merging with Attica? It's got to increase the support you get from your teammates, your coaches. What's it been like wrestling alongside the kids from Attica?
I guess it's been we get more competition and we're having fun, and it helps you get ready for matches, and you just get better.
You won 2 sectional titles. You got moved up to Class A. But all the while you've been able to wrestle against each other and get better. Do you think you guys are better prepared to go up against Class A competition this year, come sectional time?
I think, yeah, I do. Got a couple good wrestlers. Just need to get some pins.
Now, Casper, you're a defending sectional champion. What have you been doing this year to kind of prepare yourself to make a run at another sectional title?
I've been drilling hard. I've been going to the 100% of my ability as much as I could, and hopefully this will push me to get that second. Now,
Your father is a coach in this program. What's it like wrestling under your dad as one of the coaches?
It's great. Over doing his Army stuff, and we'll be seeing him at States.
Now, he was a great wrestler in his own respect. How much has he taught you over the years?
Oh, he's taught me from as soon as I came to be, and all through that I grew and came where I am right now.
Now, Josh, you've won a sectional title before. You came up just short last year. How much are you itching? You just came back from injury. How much are you itching not only to get back on the mat full time like you have been this last week, but to get back in contention for another sectional title?
I'm really trying to make it again. I've been on my toes this whole time, just waiting, feeling like I haven't been doing a lot, but now I'm back, so I feel like I haven't skipped a beat. It was hard, but I knew that I was gonna come back, so really it was just about supporting the guys that were doing their thing.
All right, Nate, that's just about going to do it for the latest episode of Inside High School Sports, brought to you by the Batavia Daily News. But season's coming down the stretch here, and all sports sectionals upcoming. What are your thoughts of what you've seen so far and what you expect down the stretch?
Yeah, we're midway through the year pretty much for everybody. I know wrestling's a little farther down the line, I believe. But, I was really impressed Thursday night, with the Shooting for a Cure event at Pembroke. It's the 9th time they've done it, 9th straight year. It's the first time I've actually gone to the event in a number of years. And to see how it's grown and become what it's become is just really impressive. It's an emotional event. I think now they've raised over $150,000. They raised over $31,000 last night.
Incredible.
You walk in, everything's pink. There's, up and down the halls, there's food, there's raffles, there's everything. It's a really special event, and former girls coach Mike Wilson has a lot to do with that. And, it's kind of his thing that he started a number of years back, and now the Funkies have taken to it, and he watched the other teams, and they really take to it as well. And, it's just a really special event that they do.
Yeah, there's no doubt. One of the greatest events that we have in this area throughout the season. But for Nate Ryder, my name is Alex Brasky. We'd like to thank you for joining us on this latest episode of Inside High School Sports, and we'll see you next week.